it's that time of year again, the annual trip to France. The car has been washed and fueled, the rods have been given the once over, rigs made and all the kit loaded. 2 ferries and 700 miles of motorway takes us to the small village of Saint-Pardoux in the Limousin region of France. With a year to think about every detail of this trip, little did we know how successful it was going to be. Well, good morning from Lake Heritage. We've just had our first overnighter. We arrived yesterday morning, Saturday, early hours, had a bit of a kip in the car. We were on the lake for about 8:30, 9. We just did a really slow pack up and I put a bit of bait into 3 likely spots, rested the swim for the day and put them out after dinner. I'm going to say about 7, half 7 at night. And after dark, I think it just went past midnight or 1:15, I had the first fish. You can see from the overlay of the video, it was a 24-pound lovely common. Gave me the absolute runaround. If I'd have lost that fish, I would have said it was something far, far bigger. And then just after 2 a.m, the rod was away again, not the same rod. I think the first one was the left-hand rod. The second bite was the right-hand rod, which subsequently took out the middle rod as well, but it was a lovely 35-pound common and absolutely beautiful hard fighting fish again. So the rods were put back out onto the spots, and then literally this morning about 10 to 8 I had a 27-pound grass carp as well, which gave a really great account for itself. Sometimes they give you nearly like a bite like a tench or even a bream bite, and then you don't get much fight off them till they get to the net. This thing held its ground well. You know, we've been coming here now, well, myself for 4 years, my dad for 3 years, and usually the fish do fight hard, but just something about this trip, the fish are really on top fighting form. So we're here for a week. We're in peg 1 and 2 at present. We are very, very basically set up because we may do days elsewhere. We may, if we are finding the fish are moving out, continue to move. Now I've had all of those 3 from the right hand side. My left hand rod is close enough to my dad's right hand rod because we're split on the peg, and he has had a few beeps and knocks, but nothing has materialized yet. That being said, I did rest the swim for a good few hours yesterday, where he had some lines in the water, though he wasn't fishing the exact same spots. He was just kind of fishing little mesh bags just to get lines out to kind of give a bit of an opportunity at first knock-ins. But no, nothing has materialized for him yet. Yeah. Well, after I spoke to you last, I lost a mirror around about mid-20s, early £30. Um, Picked up the right-hand rod and it absolutely kited right. So managed to get the fish away from the right-hand side of the tree line out in the open water as I've been playing it back to the net. Right in front of me, it has kited to the left-hand side of the margin and done me in on the left-hand side. So that was a lost fish, and I'm glad it wasn't the first fish of the trip that happened to, and I'm glad that I seen what I was playing as I'd lost it as well. You know, you always wonder if it was something bigger or even smaller. So, you know, still recovering from that, but the weather, the temperatures are absolutely rising up as the day follows on. So around about 11:30 I started to do a pack down and load the boat up, and I've come up here to Peg 6, a likely spot that you've probably, if you've seen previous vlogs, me fishing on day sessions. Now, I know the guys that were up here last week, they mostly had their takes at night. However, it hasn't been fished for a couple of days, so I just sort of thought I'd give it a chance. The main reason of coming up here is not so much to catch, but to give those spots down below a bit of a break. And what I will do through the next sort of part of the video is I'll show you the rig style and the bait that's being used on this session. It's been mostly bottom baits. The two commons that I had were both just on a simple knotless knot with a bit of a kicker and a bit of silicone or shrink tube actually down the shank of the hook. And the grass carp that I had at 27, it was on just a runny rig with a bait screw and a small 12mm wafter. So again, I'm thinking possibly out on the bottom baits tonight. I haven't tried an actual pop-up, and I have done well on this lake and pop-ups in the past, so possibly tonight could be a 12 or a 15mm pop-up out onto the spot as well, just to vary it up and see what sort of makes a difference. But it was just good in this blazing heat to top up the spots again with a bit of bait, just to keep the bait going in, and then rest the spot rigidly till after dinner tonight. And that gives the fish the opportunity, although they're not feeding, to visit the areas. They're not encountering lines. And I think too often when I fish this lake, I've been too gung-ho to get rigs out into position and that sort of thing. And to be honest, I've had 4 takes, 3 landed takes, and I think that's the most that I've had in such a short space of time. So I think the resting of the spots is good. But that's still to get off the mark, which is surprising, because when we arrived, as we're split on peg 1 and 2, the left hand side is where the fish were actually lumping out, whereas where I was, there wasn't as much activity. So I'm assuming it's just taking the fish a while to come onto the spots. But here's hoping for this afternoon, this evening, and in the early morning that we get a couple between us, and we sort of get into a rhythm that we start to catch a few fish. And it'll be nice to see some of the bigger fish here, some of the 40s and 50s, and even if the trip plans it, a big 60 would do the job lovely as well. But here's hoping. Peg 6 for this afternoon, and literally just resting the spots. So I'll speak to you in a bit. Fish number 4, 34 pound. Right. Do you want to give us a hand to get this back?
So contagious, yeah, baby. Yeah, your love is so contagious, contagious.
34 and a half. Oh, right. Well, it's Monday afternoon and it's been quite a productive evening and morning for myself and for my dad. His campaign really kicked off around about 11 o'clock, I think, this morning. And then later into the day as well, he's had now a mid-30 grass carp, Quasimodo looking thing.
Look what he wants. He's sitting upright already, too. He's really digging it in. Has he got that?
Oh, I didn't need it. Do you see the speed of that?
Jesus.
And then a 37 4-ounce mirror, which gave him a good run around, which we had for the first time properly, you know, in the daytime. So we've kept the rods out today, and I've had several runs of grass carp as well. You'll probably see that overlaid in the video. During the night I had 2 mirrors. I think one was 35 and the other one was 35 and a half or something like that as well. So it's been a good session so far. I'm up to 7 fish. I think I've had 2 mirrors, 2 commons and 3 grass carp. So really pleased with that so far, with it only being Monday. And very simple tactics. You know, I've came here before and I've fished multi-rigs, runny rigs, all sorts of things. Literally very simple. If you can see that, it's literally just a hair rig, and I've got a little bit of silicone up the shank of the hook. I've got a cut down kicker there as well, just to make that a nice aggressive bit. And again, what about 8 inches of coated braid, tiny bit stripped, and down to an anti-tangle sleeve. The only reason we're using the anti-tangle sleeve, very simply, is just so that I can pull that over the quick link on the rod and know that I'm fishing effectively. But I'm pretty pleased with what's happened. We're sort of sitting in the early 30 degrees temperatures. I think the big learning curve for this week has been so far resting the spots, giving the fish a chance to come in and eat. And then putting the rigs back out, and hopefully, you know, I need to really get another shower. I need to get changed and stuff for dinner. I think what we'll do is we'll reel the rods in. Well, my dad already has, he's went up for a wash, but we'll reel those in, leave the spots for a couple of hours for the fish to come in. And what I've been doing is been sending the bait boat back out over the spots, even after I've reeled in with some mixed boilie and particle. And it's very straightforward. We've got hemp and maize, chopped and whole boilies, some crumbed boilies. We've got the lake's own quick sort of dissolve pellet. We've got a mixture of scretins, winter pellets, which break down fairly quick as well, and then some halibut pellet. So enough sort of things in that mix to vary things about, and different sizes of baits as well. And to be honest, I've been very surprised. When we arrived, the fish were ripping up the bottom and the peg to my right here, so they have been feeding hard, which in these temperatures is surprising, but I'm not complaining. I think just we've managed to hit a sweet spot. I'm not going to be complacent. If we find that the fish are going off the feed, what we'll do is we'll move on them as sort of necessary, but it's been good so far. You know, we've both had fish, nothing overly too big yet to write home about, but I'm sure that will come in due course. But it's been decent, let's put it that way, so far. It's just nice to to get amongst a few fish. And to be honest, it's as much a holiday as it is a fishing session. The heat is quite stifling at the minute, the pressure is quite high, so I wasn't expecting too much in the last couple of hours, but the fish are there, we are seeing them late evening and early morning. Bite times have mostly been between sort of midnight and 1 a.m. right through to sort of 11 the next day. Today was a bit different, we had them through to lunchtime as well, but it's been one of those things that it's just paid off so far, and I'm well aware at any point it could dry up, so we're just making the most of every opportunity as we can. I may see what tomorrow brings. If I'm finding that it slows off in the morning or we haven't got anything, I'll do a day somewhere else. As you've seen, I was up in Peg 6 yesterday just for a couple of hours. There was a lot of cows down drinking in the water, stomping their feet right along the sort of tree line and snag area that I like to fish, and it just wasn't the one, you know. And guys have been up there the previous week and really hammered that peg, and they did have a few fish out as well, so maybe it just needs a couple of days to right itself. But I think the plan is get the rods out of the water, prep for tonight, because I have been using the IB hand sharpened hooks, and I must say they're very, very good hooks. They have been hooking things very well, but with any of those products, with a hand sharpened product, if they're out in the water too long, sometimes the hook point can go blunt or bear over, and as soon as you've had a fish, especially with the way these fish have been fighting, and the grass carp with the strength they have and the pad on their mouth is quite tough. It's been a rig, a fish, and you know, I've had enough, but then you've had a couple more runs and you're trying to make them up in the middle of the night. It's just not very productive. So I've made up 6 rigs. That gives me a chance of having, you know, 2 fish on each rod, and that's not going to happen between now and tomorrow morning, but that's where we're at. It's just been very simply because Dad's boat has went kaput. We have been just sharing this peg. We haven't moved, and we've been just going left and right of the peg, and I have been setting 6 points for the GPS and dropping the bait there, using the boat as a marker float. As soon as it gets out to the spot, then just lift in a couple of handfuls of bait and scattering the boilie over them. By doing that and putting those boilies out, I believe what that's allowing the fish to do is start to lift the baits and actually move between spots, which keeps them more active, rather than just dumping a hopper load of bait onto the bottom of the swim. I think that's really, you know, when fish get a bit more wise to what's going on, but it keeps them sort of moving, and it has been that way. And we have been seeing a movement of travel from right to left of the fish feeding through the night, so they are sticking to a patrol route that they're used to. So we'll see what the rest of this afternoon and evening brings. It's just time to prep. We're on a meal package here that gets delivered to your swim, so every night Sean the bailiff, who is part of the town's bistro, is bringing us food. Last night we had gammon steak, chips and fried eggs. The night before we had pizza, and those meals come with a dessert and a starter as well. So you're well looked after here. The biggest issue has just been how warm it is, but luckily with this peg, as you can see where I'm sitting, it does come with some areas that are fairly shaded, and it means I can put a lot of stuff in the car as well, and we're not overcrowding the bivvy with loads of kit. But that's us for this afternoon. I'll keep you posted on what's happening, and hopefully through the night you'll see some fish. We haven't really had much time for action takes or whatever, because most of the fish have been through the night, and anything we have had through the day has been unexpected, but they have been absolutely savage runs. This is my 4th year at this venue, Lake Heritage, and every year, you know, we just sort of suss it out a bit better. And what I found this year is the fish have just fought harder and harder than they have on the previous sessions. I found that when you're snag fishing up in post 6 now, that they really give a strong account for themselves as you're battling them out of the snags. But generally mid-water, they do fight well, but it's just been like fish on steroids this year. With that extra heat and high pressure, you know, you would expect them to be a bit more lethargic, but they've recovered really well. We haven't slinged or sacked anything for any amount of time. They've literally sat in the net. The rig has been popped out. The camera gear's got ready, and I've lifted them up and brought them down to be photographed and then put straight back in, and everything's went back fairly easily, other than the odd grass carp, which just takes a couple of minutes to be held in the sling, uprighted and recovered, because I think anybody that's caught grass carp, especially in hot weather, but I think it's just a general thing, they sort of play dead and they go belly up, and the first time that happens, if you don't know, it can be a scary experience for anyone that's doing that. But very simple tactics: putting bait out by the boat, simple rigs, and it is producing the bites. You know, we're here to Saturday until the next guys come and there's a handover. There's only 2 of us on the entire lake exclusive, so less lines in the water, you know, 6 rods, and really less pressure. So we are fishing spots that other guys have fished similar areas, but the line lay from a different angle. No one has fished this post for a couple of weeks as far as I'm aware, so that does help as well. So I think really and truly we're onto something here. We're getting consistent runs. You know, I've had 3 fish on the Saturday night into Sunday, and then 4 landed on the Sunday into Monday, so it's not bad. I've lost a grass carp at the net. The reason that was simply a hook pull, due to the fact that it had tangled around another line and I was holding it in the water, and I didn't net it just because I wasn't overly that fussed. You know, once you've a picture of a couple of those, you've seen one, you've seen them all, unless it's massive. And the other one was a mirror, which I talked about yesterday, done me in a snag. The fish got away fine, but it just, the line grated against the tree, and that was all she wrote really with that one. But still lots and lots of time, and it's just lovely to be out and on the bank. It's a long old drive from Calais to here, which is about 7 hours. I think for us from Liverpool down it was about 5 or so. That being said, we came from Belfast, so we got the overnight ferry from Belfast to Liverpool, which was 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. on the Friday morning. And so it's a long old trip, and I think today is the first day we've started to feel more like ourselves. But that being said, you're still very tired because we've been up half the night. But that's enough absolute waffle from me. Hopefully I have something else to show you the next time I come to speak to the cameras, and it hopefully should make for an interesting vlog. Well, we've not long had dinner and the rods have been put back out for this evening. So I've stuck to the same 3 spots, those rigs that I showed you earlier, the 3 snowman style rigs on those hairs, very, very simple as before. Half a cut down or trimmed pop up, and about 95% just a bit snipped off the actual boilie. And those are the spots that have been producing, so why not just stick to what you know. Again, using the boat as a marker and flicking maybe 30 to 50 baits per rod. And then my dad, he was the same, he's kept the right hand rod exactly the same. He's kept the line of the middle and left hand rod, but sent those out further into slightly deeper water just to see can we get those fish to actually feed for him tonight. So fingers crossed for something to kick off. And hopefully through the night we'll be in touch with a couple of fish, hopefully something hopefully something big, fingers crossed. So here's hoping. Well folks, it's Tuesday afternoon. We've had an action-packed night of just grass carp after grass carp. We must have been through, I think I had 4, and up to now Dad's had 2 or 3 as well. I'm on 11 fish in total. He's on 6. I've had those 4 king carp, and the other 7 have been grassies, up to about 35 pound. Again, most of those have just been unhooked in the net and released. They've been absolutely mad. The last one he had a take about 20 minutes ago has absolutely destroyed the net, broke the poles, and just went savagely mad. It's 33 degrees this afternoon, so absolutely stifling heat. I'm not expecting anything else. I think really the plan is reel in, leave the rods out of the water for a couple of hours, and rest the swim. They are getting on the bait, they are eating it, so let's hope that a bit of a rest again this afternoon will allow them to get back on the feed this evening.
I don't need to take on the camera both sides, or do you?
I'll do it, because then I'll send you both. Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, about 1 o'clock, and it's absolutely bloody roasting. It's about 35 degrees, I'm going to say, and I've not long had a grass carp again. We had a really productive Tuesday night into Wednesday day, right up to really just after breakfast time, about 11 o'clock. Unfortunately, the last 2 fish that we had were lost. My dad had a trailing line. We're not sure if it was actually the trailing line or the fish had taken the rig as well, but we ended up getting both rigs back, and about irresponsibly 100 yards or more of line from another angler, pretty fresh as well, so at least that's out of the water. But I've lifted my phone here so as I can look at ye old menu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 fish altogether. Last night, come about midnight, it started off with a 30 odd pound grass carp. I say 30 odd pound because the fish wasn't weighed, it was unhooked in the net, quickly recovered and sent back packing. We've had that many of them that really, unless they are something special like that 41 pound grass carp I had, then we haven't bothered weighing them. So a 30-ish pound grass carp. Then with just basically an onslaught of grassies, I thought the next bite it was going to be exactly the same, but that turned out to be a 41 pound 6 ounce a 41 pound 8 ounce mirror, followed by a 19.4 mirror, a 28 2 ounce mirror, a 31 10 ounce common, a mid 20 grassy, and then this afternoon a mid 20 grassy.
It's even bigger in the water, don't they?
I know.
Whoa.
He's picked up. Well, folks, it's Wednesday evening. The rods have been out of the water for a good few hours. We've just had dinner. We've just got things ready in terms of rigs and bait for this evening. Same old, same 3 spots, same 3 rigs. And here's hoping for another busy night like last night. We were up on the hour practically every hour, but again, if we get a bit of rest up until sort of midnight by time, then I'm happy enough for that to continue. It's around about 7:30 now, so if we could even get rested about 10 o'clock once we get the rods out, then really and truly we should hopefully be in for a bit of action. The celebrations here tomorrow are Bastille Day, so it's going to be fairly busy about the place, fireworks and things, and we're going into the Big Fish Thursday tomorrow, so it's all to play for. We've got Wednesday night, Thursday night and Friday night, and still a good amount of fish under our belt, so here's hoping for something good, but you'll probably see us through the night and I'll keep you posted on how we're getting on. Well, it's Thursday afternoon. Swim's been rested for the most of today. We're just getting ready to put the rods back out, and I thought I'd talk to you about last night, Wednesday evening, getting into Thursday morning. We had 4 takes in total, 3 landed fish. Started off with me about 2 in the morning, having a lovely mirror of 37 pound, and I can't remember the ounces. You'll probably see that in the layover bit of the video as well. There we go. 37.12 on the middle rod. Oh, right. We'll get him back. My dad then early morning this morning about 6 a.m. had an absolute screaming run, which they all have been, but this one was a real doozy of a run. It was a 33.14 mirror. Lift them up a wee bit higher if you can. That's perfect. He's give us all, he has to.
Is he alright?
Oh, aye. He's tilting to get under the... The rod hadn't even made it back. We just unhooked the fish, done a few photos, put it back, and my rod was away, and it was a 50 pound 4 ounce mirror, which is a PB for me, so that was an absolutely epic sort of moment, and really sort of speaks of what this trip has been. You know, it's been a fantastic trip. It's hard lifting these out 50s, 50 pound 4 ounces. Oh.
Smile your up bag.
PB.
Big Fish Thursdays.
I'm going to do the other side, always powerful.
That's alright. Your first ever 50 shit.
I've had 21 fish now up to 50 pound 4 ounces, which has been brilliant. 3 fish over 40. I couldn't ask for better than that, but we're doing exactly the same tonight. Bait out under the spots. You'll probably see from my mix here, that's literally a massive bucket of that. There's 3 different types of pellet in there. Halibut pellet, Scretton's winter feed. There is the lake pellet, which is a quick breakdown pellet. It forms like a sandy substrate along the bottom. Hemp, corn, a couple of different types of boilie. There's Vitalac, Arctic crab, a few other bits and pieces in there. Crumbed, halved, and literally whole as well. And I have a bit of mainline smart liquid, which is poured over the top as well, which smells like Starburst. So that's pretty much it. Literally 2 hoppers filled in the boat, going over the spots tonight, about 5k per spot, and probably about 50 to 100 boilies sent over the top as well. So we'll see what that does for us, and hopefully, as every night, we'll have a few fish during the night, but it was just too warm to do that today. We headed down to the stock pond. My dad had 4 tench, and then just before we went, he had an absolutely screaming run again from a carp, which we weren't expected. He was undergunned for it because he had only light hook links, and it unfortunately snapped him off, so I think he's going back tomorrow to give that another go. But we're going to get the rods back out this evening after dinner. We like the rest of the spot, that seems to do the trick. And hopefully, fingers crossed, as it goes into the evening of Big Fish Thursday, a very aptly named evening, although it's already done it for this morning for me with the big fish. I'm more than happy with that. But fingers crossed for more. We're always greedy, aren't we? You know, we like to say, oh, I was looking to get a couple of 40s, or I was looking to get a 50. But then it pushes you on to want to get a few more fish. So hopefully, before we go, we have tonight and tomorrow night still to go with an early pack up on Saturday morning to get out of here. Just looking forward to our dinner tonight. We're having chili con carne and rice, which, to be honest, lovely, but in this weather, it's probably going to kill me because it's been absolutely boiling today. But again, I've just had a shower, got washed, changed. It's time to get the rods back out, and if I get anything else during the night, I'll keep you posted. It lifted your middle line.
Yes.
It wiped out your right.
Uh-huh.
It came over my left, then it came back and took out your bloody left line. Back leads and all. There we go. 31. 9. Bar of soap. Wiped out the rods. Good night. Give me the weight again, do you remember?
2310.
2310. 23 pound 10 ounces. Oh. There we go. Right. We'll get him back.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. It's about 12:30 on Friday, lunchtime. Literally left peg 1 after bite time, having breakfast and kind of milling around. Dad had a grass carp. Literally, I think about 11, half 11. During the night, I had a couple of fish as well. I had a 31 pound 9 ounce mirror, a 2310 common, and a 32 pound grass carp this morning. My dad also lost an absolute colossal bite. You know, he just couldn't get the fish to move. It was a long, it was a slow, ponderous bite, and whatever had happened, it just didn't materialise into a fish on the bank. So he went to bed absolutely gutted, and it was a quiet night for him up until this morning lunchtime when he had a 30 pound odd grass carp. Sort of saying in the area of, they're all 30 and above in that size bracket. It's just to actually take them out and to weigh them and go through the process. Once you've taken a good picture, one or two of them, you know, there are a means to an end, but also they take so long to recover. It's best just to put them back into the water and get them away, really. But this is the last full day, so really I'm just resting the spot down in 1 and 2 for a few hours. I'm back up on the ever faithful old peg 6. I've been up here sort of my second and third year on the venue and always had good fish off this peg during the day. I've never had anything at night off the peg at all. But I know the guy who did fish here the week before we arrived did fairly well on the peg. That's why we decided to rest it, and I've barely been up here. I did a couple of hours earlier in the week, and just there was cows in the water, the direction of the wind, everything was against us. Today I have seen a few fish on the move. It's conflicted me of where I've put my rigs, because do I go with what I know or do I do something else? But that's kind of what we're at. Hello? Well, my dad's down fishing the stock pond. I've just off the phone to him there. He lost a fish yesterday, and he's just lost a carp again. There was a bed spring in the lake that was folded out to full capacity. And to be honest, it's no surprise with things like that being right next to a road, things getting into the water. But he's just had a real unlucky time with some of it. He's had a lot of bites and they just haven't materialised. Some of them through no fault of his own as well. It's just been one of those things. Again, when we drew to see who was going what side, I got the right side, he took the left side. There was more fish coming out on the left hand side at the start. Both the left hand side, as we were told, had actually produced better. So it's whether, because the right hand side where I've been fishing has had less pressure, it's just fished better, or maybe I've put more bait over the spots where he's been less frivolous with the bait, but I don't even think it is that, because we have kind of put in a good amount. He has done better than he has in the previous 2 years that he's been here, but it's one of those things. You're always wanting that something bigger. I mean, I've had a PB of £50, 4 ounces. His was 48, 14 or something like that from last year. I mean, already he came here with a tough old one to crack, because it's literally just off the £50 barrier. So, but again, anything can happen. And I mean, when you put those rods into position, you don't know what the next take is going to be, and that's exactly what we're up against. But listen, we're here for a few hours. It's one of those pegs that if nothing materializes within a couple of hours, you know, move the rods, try again, and again, if nothing happens, they're either not in the spots, or they're just not up for feeding. A very lively common, what, about mid-20s. I didn't bring any scales up with me this afternoon, completely forgot. Been fishing about an hour and a half, locked up out on the right hand rod, single beep, direct contact, and a really heated battle for about 10-15 minutes. Absolutely outstanding fishing here at Lake Heritage. Fantastic. Well, I'm not sure how much of that overlay is going to come through on the video. Absolute amateur hour, and I left the microphone in my pocket while dealing with that fish. It's just so hot up here. You just want to get on with it, get the fish quickly photographed either side and get it back into the water. As I said, I didn't bring my set of scales up with me stupidly. I just wanted to get up here this afternoon to try and get a bite or two. And I've forgot that. I didn't even lift my tackle box. I've came with enough to do me. Using those hand sharpened hooks, that fish had absolutely wrecked the point of the hook, just took it right over. And luckily, for some reason, in all the dud hooks that we've been using, there was one that I've taken off that was okay. Maybe just not as sharp as a brand new one that I wanted to put out at night. So I've been able to put the rod back out onto the spot with another sort of handful, large handful of bait, just those mixed pellet boilie, corn and hemp, and we'll see if anything else occurs in the next half an hour. Like I said before, this peg, if the fish are there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. I have seen fish in the area that's possibly spooked them away. I've had cows in the water, I've had ducks diving for the bait. It hasn't put the fish off feeding. They're readily used to it. So let's just see what the next 30 minutes to an hour brings, and if nothing, I'll be taken to the outboarding boat and heading back to peg 1 for the last evening here in Lake Heritage. Well, it's time to bid peg 6 goodbye. Just that common for me. No surprise really. After the rod went back out, the ducks spotted the bait and were diving constantly. By the time I've lifted the bait in, there's nothing really left of the boilie, and the disturbance on that peg was just ridiculous. So heading back to base camp to get a few rigs knocked up and ready for this evening, get the bait sorted as well. You may notice that we're crawling an absolute snail's pace, and that's just to reserve the battery on the boat. I'm actually running it off power pack from Power Packs. Really, I had a lithium battery ordered, and when Carp Lounge went on fire in England, they had to refund it because it got smoke damage just before getting sent out. They didn't get the one that I wanted back into stock, and to be honest, I just hadn't had time to get something else sorted. This has done the job to get me up and back. It's surprising how powerful this little pack is, but you just don't want to surge it. you know, it would take me up and down to my post maybe 3 or 4 times, so enough to really keep going. But if I gun the accelerator on this thing, if I overcook the throttle on this thing, it just kills the power, and then you're back to square one. So we're just kind of nicely moseying along, and to be honest, it's doing the trick. It's nice just to gently take it anyway, because really the last thing I want to do is drive right over my peg and disturb the spots at high speed anyway. And it's nice just to enjoy the scenery and the breeze as you're doing so. So I'm more than happy with that fish that I had up there. The peg always does me good form. I know the guys that were there last week said it was more evening that it fished for them. However, I always know if you get a rig in the right place up there, you have a very good chance of a fish. And I know some of the big target fish like to frequent up that area as well. So 25 fish in total for me, commons, mirrors and grass carp, all up to £50 4 ounces, as I've said. If I go with nothing else, I'll be more than happy, but I still think tonight we should see some sort of action, as it has been coming thick and fast every night. I think on average we have had the least amount of runs between us of 3, the maximum 5, 6. If you count the daytime grass carp bites by leaving the rods out, you could have even more. Well, we're at the last night of our trip here at Lake Heritage. Fantastic turn of events really, in terms of the amount of fish that we've had and how well it's fished. Rods are going to be put back out onto the spots in the next couple of minutes here, and I'm hopeful there'll be another couple of runs before morning. A quick pack down and head to the ferry, and we'll be on our way, but hopefully we'll have something to show you throughout the night. But if not, it's no worries. It's been an absolutely brilliant trip anyway. I hope you have enjoyed the vlog so far. It takes a lot of effort to put these things together, as well as fishing. You know, you kind of double up with the amount that you're doing in terms of fishing and trying to get the video content as well. So if you have enjoyed it, please do comment in the comment section. If you don't, please don't then. No, I'm only joking. But if you have enjoyed the vlog, then do let us know. Please do subscribe and like the video. Liking the video helps a lot because it lets more people see it. It's been an absolutely fantastic time for me. I would say, you know, a bit of a red letter day. Having a PB, having several 40-pound fish and having 25 fish on a week at this time in summer is just incredible. But I'm really thankful for how it's went, and hopefully we have something else to show you throughout the evening. But we're about to get the rods back out, get set up, and then pack some stuff into the car. £52.12. Yeah. Oh. Right, let's get her back.
If this is the last one of the session, so may it be.
Well, that's us getting ready to go home. Last fish this morning, you've maybe seen that run, was a grassy mid-20s, and the car's packed. Al's having a dump. We're having a coffee, a bun, and we're heading home. Thanks for watching, thanks for the journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tight lines.